Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a slightly different video which is about my experience at university. Now this is a video that I've wanted to do for a couple of years now. I'm 24 years old, I graduated 2 years ago, and my university experience was an important one in shaping what I'm doing today, but certainly not in the ways that I thought it would be. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. This is really just me sharing my experience, so of course it's not going to be super structured, but I'm going to do my very best. I'm going to say one very important thing right now at the beginning of the video before I forget, which is that any decision this big is a personal one. Deciding whether or not to go to university is a big decision, and I just really hope that the biggest thing you take from this video is to really consider your own reasons for making a decision, because you're the only one that knows the right choice, and in reality there really is no right or wrong choice. It's doing what feels best for you, what you think is going to make you happiest, because this is your life. So let me jump straight into it. So let me start out this story with when I was still at school, when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to go to university and what I wanted to study. At the school that I went to in particular, there was a real push to encourage the students to go to university. So when it came to me applying for university, I didn't really see it as a question of should I go to university, but rather which university should I go to and which subject do I want to study. I decided to study languages. I was good at languages. I liked language. Well, I was good at French. I'd only studied French up to this point. I thought that this would increase my chances at getting a job later on. I basically thought it was going to give me a lot of options further down the road, and I wasn't going to narrow myself too much too early and box myself into only a certain career path that I could take after university, because I still didn't really know what I wanted to do later on. I applied for Bristol and a few other universities, but really I knew from the get-go that Bristol was my number one choice. I don't know why, I had just had this idea in my head since about the age of 14 that this would be a good university to go to. And straight away there, I can tell you, you should just really question from the get-go what your motivations are for going to university. Don't do it because you think it's just the mainstream option or the easier option or just the thing that people do. That was what it was for me. It was just the thing that people do. And that's not a good reason in itself. There are a lot of good reasons to go to university. Maybe it's needed for the career that you're going into, or maybe you really want a university experience, or maybe you have thought about this and you really think it will increase your chances at getting a job further in the future. Those are good reasons. Mine were questionable. But I did end up going to the University of Bristol. I got the grades I needed, and I can say that from pretty early on I started questioning whether I had made the right decision. And I think everyone goes through those moments, like, did I really make the right choice? But if you've taken the time to really consider what your motivations are for going, those moments are going to be a lot easier. I had my first semester at the University of Bristol, and to be honest, it was pretty darn miserable. I was going through a lot of personal problems at the time, like some really heavy stuff. But on top of that, university is a big change. You know, it was my first time moving away from home. I'm an only child. It was my first time living with a lot of other people around the same age as me. I did actually end up being signed off from university because I was really unwell at one point. But by the time it came to Christmas, I was just not feeling good about the whole experience. But going home for Christmas was the first time I was seeing a lot of my friends again. My friends from home. There was even actually, I remember we had to go into our old school to pick up some certificates or something from our exams the previous year. So I was seeing all of my old classmates, and like I said, 90% of us had all gone to university. So everyone was saying, how are you finding uni? How's it going? And everyone was just going, yeah, great, I love it, yeah. So I was telling everyone it was great and I was having a good time, because I didn't want to be the odd one out, and I didn't really want to talk about all the issues I was having. Little did I know, a couple of years down the line, people really started coming out and saying, oh, actually, that first term at uni was really difficult, it was really hard. So even if you're not going through all the kind of doubts of being in the right place and the personal issues, it's going to be difficult. That's completely normal. What wasn't normal was that I was really just going through an existential crisis of like, what the heck am I doing with my life? So at this point, my mum actually got me to speak to a careers coach, and I did like those personality aptitude tests. I don't remember all the results exactly, but I remember after that experience thinking, okay, well, I want to work in communications. I don't know exactly where, but now I feel like I have a reason to stay at uni, at least for now, and see how it goes. And it was around this time I also started my own blog. And this is going to become important later. And just like I said, it's hard to structure this because real life isn't super structured, but it was also around this time in the Christmas break of my first year where I actually went to see the guidance counsellor at my old school. And I just said, look, I'm having a really tough time at uni. I don't like it. I don't really know if I should stay. I'm thinking maybe I should drop out or change, or like, I don't know, help me. She was really helpful, I'm not denying that, but one of the things she said was, if you really weren't supposed to be there doing what you're doing, I think you would have known in the first week. And that's just not true, because the reality of it is that we don't always have those like instantaneous realizations that we've made a mistake or we're doing the wrong thing, or that we're just not quite sure. Like, that's just not how life works. So definitely don't think that you have to have a hugely strong gut feeling pulling you one way or the other to make a decision. So I did stick out the rest of my first year at uni, and I'll admit it got a little bit better. The first time was definitely the hardest, but I was still really struggling and just felt like I had a lack of direction, wasn't sure what I was doing. I didn't really make that many friends in my first year. I made a few, but not really. I don't know, I think that I took it as for granted that like I would go to uni and I would make new friends. I had moved schools before when I was younger, and you know, I'd eventually worked it out and found a good group of friends, but it just didn't happen for me straight away. I really kind of just withdrew into myself and became very introverted, and that was my way of dealing with all of the personal problems I was having and all of the big life changes that had been happening that year. My first summer after uni, I got a couple of internships. I was really intent on just trying out my hand at what it would be like to work in communications. So I got a PR internship, and I did a week of work experience with an internal communications team of a corporate company. And I really enjoyed working, and it just made me think, like, I just really don't enjoy studying. I kind of wish I was just working and could get started with my life already. But I did go back for my second year of university, and things got a bit better, but I was just never one of those people that said like university life was amazing. I loved the university lifestyle. I'll admit that in my second year I started to get close to a group of people who were on my course, and I am still in contact with some of them today. Second year, I guess it was better, but I still always had these doubts of like, what am I doing? I got super into blogging this year, and I made a lot of friends through blogging, and to be honest, most of my socialising was going to like networking events around the city of Bristol, because there were loads of creative freelancers there. I think I didn't really realise at the time, but I was really lucky to have those events going on. Another big part of my second year of university was planning my year abroad. At my university, we actually had a 4-year course, whereas most university courses, undergrad university courses in the UK, are just 3 years. And the reason for that was because in our third year, we would all go abroad to the country of the language that we were studying and either study there or do an internship there. So seeing as I had enjoyed my time in my internship so much, I decided that I would really like to actually just go and do an internship and just have a year away from studying, because I just didn't like studying. I'd been so good at school when like it was so structured the way you took exams, and really it was just learning how to pass the exams. I really enjoyed learning languages, but I think that I learned what I really loved about learning languages was communicating with the people and being in the place. When you got into the nitty-gritty of the grammar, a lot of the like literature modules and things I was studying just weren't things that super interested me. And that's another tip, is don't think about what you should be studying for the career you want to take, unless you want to be like a doctor, in which case you don't have much choice. Really study something that you enjoy. If you love literature, and you want to study literature, then that's a great motivation to do it. Yeah, I wasn't super inspired to be spending my whole day studying, so I thought for my third year I would take a break from that and go and do some internships and work. I organised to spend the first half in Paris, practicing my French, and I organised an internship with a corporate media relations company. And then I would spend the second half of the year abroad in Italy. This is Emily from the future. At this point, I go into a long explanation about my Erasmus year abroad, and it's really worth going into detail on, but it made the video way too long. So what I've done is I've split them into two. So if you want to watch the video about my Erasmus experience, I'm going to link it somewhere here in the description as soon as it's live. I'm not sure whether I'm going to put this one live or that one first, but it will be up very soon if it's not left, so go check it out. But for now, I'm going to continue with my university experience story from my final year after my year abroad is over. Let's go. But the third year had to come to an end, and I can say that that was mildly traumatic for me, and I'm not exaggerating. I was so upset to have to go back to the UK. And when I did arrive back to the UK after being away for a year, I really felt a kind of disconnect culturally from where I was after having fallen in love with Italian culture and the way things work in mainland Europe. So I came back from my final year of university, which I knew was going to be intense and stressful, and I just had bad memories associated with being at uni by this point. But I really wanted to give it my best shot, so I said, I'm going to treat this year like an Erasmus year, like a year abroad, and just rediscover the place I'm from or the place I'm studying. And I tried to do that, but very soon it all got a bit much. I was also trying to start to do some kind of freelancing, but that alongside trying to enjoy life and just give myself time for myself, but also studying and being in your final year of university, especially the first term where they try to cram so much in, I burnt out and I got pretty ill. Like I had some mental health issues, which is a recurring theme throughout my whole university experience, but it just became very heavy and difficult again very quickly. And I was kind of miserable, but all through this time I was kind of thinking, you know what, when this is over, I'm going to go to Italy and I'm going to start my freelance business. So this thought kind of kept me going. But I'll admit, there was a point, I think around December of my final year back at university, where I was really, once again, strongly considering dropping out. Because at this point I knew that a university degree was unlikely to make the difference between me getting freelance contracts and not. And that's something I can never be sure of. But I knew that the kind of thing I wanted to do was going to be much more portfolio based and wasn't going to directly be using my language skills necessarily. But I stuck it out. I guess after that first term things got a little bit easier, but it still felt very heavy. Long story short, I did finish university and I finished with good marks. Like I got a 2-1, which is like the second highest category of grade that you can get. So I did well. I'm proud of myself for finishing. And towards the end, it was really a case of just proving to myself that I could stick something out even when it was so difficult on so many levels. So yes, I'm proud of myself for finishing. I'm glad I finished it in that sense. But also there's a little bit of me that kind of wishes I'd had the balls to just go out there without my degree, without this piece of paper, to start my freelance career, which is essentially the path that I did set out on. But this raises two very big questions. Did my degree help me in doing what I do today? What advice would I give to somebody in the position that I was in however many years ago when I was deciding whether or not to go to uni? My degree helped me. I think that it's impossible to do something for 4 years and not learn something or take something away from it that's going to help you later in life. Was it the best decision that was the most efficient at getting me on the road I'm on today? Probably not, but I will never know how things would be different had I not taken that path. Which then brings up the question, okay, so what advice would I give to somebody who's at where I was 5 or 6 years ago when they're deciding about university or just started and not feeling great about it? And it really comes down to this once again, which is just have your motivations set out from the beginning. Why do you want to go to university? Because the truth is, I think people are recognising this more now, is that the way the world is going, university is not the only option. And it's not the only option if you want a successful life. Like that, what does that even mean? Only you can answer that, and that's the question you've got to ask yourself. And you don't have to know the answer like that. It's so okay to take a year out to just work, even if it's working in a bar or waitressing. That's what most people do if they take a year out, because then you can save up some money, which then maybe you'll decide you want to use that to help you to do your degree at university. Or maybe that's going to end up being money to help you kickstart whatever kind of lifestyle you're going to start for yourself. And if you need more than a year, like that's also okay. I don't know, it's tough. I know that money is really tough for some people, but I promise you, if you really want something, just work out what that is and do everything in your power to make it happen. And that's what I did. Well, I did move to Italy straight after university, and I taught English for a few months while I started to try to find my first freelancing clients. And I ended up getting a regular freelancing gig at a social media agency. Yeah, I was working with them for about 8 or 9 months before I decided to head out on my own to just do more projects, like work less with the agency and have time to manage other projects, which is the road I'm on now. I have kind of focused in a bit more from just general social media management to more specifically video content creation and strategy, so helping people to create videos for their social media and come up with a strategy surrounding that. The truth is that is very much in line with the kind of things I was hoping to be doing when I started really getting down to it in like my last couple of years of uni. I think that's all the knowledge and wisdom I have to share with you today, and more than anything, it's just my story. There are no right answers, there are no real conclusions, there are just the kinds of questions you should be asking yourself. So please don't stress yourself too much over this. It's an important decision, but even if you take the wrong decision, like there's a way around it, and you're going to work it out and you're going to get to where you're supposed to be. I know it's the time of year now where people are going to be getting exam results to find out whether they got into uni, or just deciding whether they're going to want to even apply to uni. So I really hope that this has helped someone. Good luck everyone with whatever kind of decision you're making at the moment, and whatever the outcome is. I'm sure you're going to do fantastically, and everything you need to know is in here, so trust yourself. You're going to be okay. Thanks for watching this video all the way till the end, and I will see you in my next one. And do subscribe if you want to see some more of my videos. If my lifestyle and what I'm doing now sounds interesting to you. I'm actually not living in Italy anymore. I've now moved to Brussels. Subscribe if you want to be kept up to date with that. Bye.